Hi guys, this is gonna be another video that is a part of the segment Amanda's Advice. I channel messages through art, but also wisdom. I was even born on a Wednesday, which is communication, or should I say the magician card in tarot. I'll be communicating many things in many different ways. What we're about to talk about has been weighing on my mind for a good minute. It's weird because along the way I would get downloads or something else would pop up as well that coincides with the bigger picture. It's like a bunch of smaller art details that leads right to the entire painting. It's the bigger picture. I have personal examples as well. So the topic here is strange TV synchronicities, as well as brainwashing and conditioning, whatever you want to call it, from the TV itself. Even the things you consider simply entertainment, like, oh, that doesn't affect me. It's like playing video games, but saying you remove yourself from like the violent aspect. That wouldn't make me violent. It's just an example. Have you ever thought of a word in your head or blurted something out only to hear the TV repeat it back to you right afterwards? In my case, it's down to the exact word, even the manner in which it's said, aka body language, attitude, tone, volume, etc. This is something that's been happening to me since a small child. And of course, when you're a child, you might think it's cool, but you don't look further into it. As time went on, they became more evident. For example, one day, I was typing out a tweet that was about how I hate that time of the month, how I hate water weight, and then the very last thing before I sent the tweet was, "Get out of here," or "Get out of here." Said exactly like that. You know, when you're writing something out, you also read it to yourself as you go, exactly as you would if you were reading a book. You're thinking it. It's in your head. Well, that's exactly what happened. Right as I thought and technically said, "Get out of here," a commercial came on TV where a man said, "Get out of here," to several different people, rather loudly. It's like he was playing out loud the way my tweet would have sounded. It felt like a play, like it was being acted out. Another time I was thinking to myself how hard homeless people already have it, and I was pissed about them creating or trying to pass new laws that would reduce their options. And then there's pictures of those benches with those sharp architecture built specifically so homeless people can't even sleep there. Anyways, I was actually watching a show this time instead of using the TV as background noise. And right as I thought about the homeless, a new character was introduced that used to be homeless, and I believe they were talking about offering him to stay. Someone wanted to help him. Actually, I think one family member knew him or introduced him, while the others were shocked and not really okay with it. Those are the most recent ones, but there's been plenty more, and there's plenty where that came from. When they happen with me, I take it as a message I need to hear. I perceive the "get out of here" as me needing to relocate or travel, possibly stick to my boundaries. And I saw the homeless synchronicity as a weird confirmation for how horrible human nature and behavior is. One group cares, even if they aren't in that situation, and then the other is all, as long as it's not me. It's more of a biased point of view, only caring about oneself, because obviously they didn't have to struggle. They don't know what that's like. I also saw it as a prediction, or should I say a preview, of a movie/scenario where things are going to change in that department. The TV showed me one person wanting to take them in. Perhaps the solution here is kind of like foster care. take someone in and make them a part of your family, your soul tribe. Now when it happens when I channel art, it happens when I channel art for readings. It's a different story. I usually mention it in your readings when it happens, and each freaking time it was the same theme. Comedy, horror, childhood, etc. Whatever the main reading theme is, that's what the TV usually reflects. In one reading, the theme was Dumbo. I compared having special ears or having a disability with being gifted. You're ostracized, but then that very thing you were teased about will lead to success. Right in the middle of the reading, Matilda started playing on TV. Childhood trauma, gifts, black sheep, teased, it all fits. Another time I did a reading for Leo called Case of a Stolen Identity, and while I was thinking / channeling their message, an episode of SpongeBob came on where he lost his name tag, aka an identity, and acted like it was the end of the world. The reading centered around, it's not the things that make the person, but the inside that determines the identity. So losing something, even if it's another person taking it, doesn't matter. You were always you. Identity is internal, not external. It's funny how powerful the tongue is. It's like, especially if you're a master manifester, saying one thing usually means you receive that in some way, shape, or form. It's repeated back to you, or it's sent back to you. All of that's a perfect example of how powerful the mind truly is, how powerful your thoughts actually are. It also makes you wonder if there really can be a glitch in the simulation. Is it real? Is it orchestrated? Are we puppets? Are we being controlled? There's a reading I did way back to when I started my channel called Sims. I compared Sims to a simulation. So that's interesting. Now that leads me right into how we are subconsciously conditioned, starting out when we are so young and impressionable. We all grow up watching Disney, right? This is exactly why I have the 10 of Cups and the Knight of Cups on display. Little girls and little boys subconsciously start to believe and subconsciously expect that their knight in shining armor is going to save them. They need that fulfillment in their own lives. They need that to reach fulfillment in their own lives. We then start to glamorize marriage and people, even the toxic ones. Marriage for women is like a carrot on a stick, but rarely does it ever live up to the hype. Many of the Disney princesses, like Snow White and Cinderella, have horrible families or evil forces working against them. In real life, that's the equivalent of a woman leaning on or seeking out men to find that love, find that support, find that happily ever after, only to find themselves in this codependent, abusive relationship. Oops. They might even vent about their traumas, failing to realize, only for toxic people, that it will be viewed as weakness and eventually used against them. So moral of the story, moral of the show, is growing up with that kind of message being thrown at us is the reason you see women pushing marriage so much, even when the guys are horrible. Even if it requires them to sacrifice themselves, and they'll do it. Even if they don't get anything out of marriage, they're happily ever after. That's not a happily ever after. It's a fantasy that never comes true. The term wifey material was originated for this very reason. I hate that phrase, by the way. Instead of aiming for wifey material, why not put your armor on and become you material? Because not all knight in shining armors have good intentions. Don't let anyone be your entire identity. Don't let anyone sell you a fantasy. Don't let anyone make you think that they're the key to your Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups does not just apply to love, and the Knight of Cups doesn't just mean a potential suitor. Knights follow their dreams, they follow their heart to find or to get to their Ten of Cups too. Right now, I'm seeing each cup as a major part of your life. Love is one cup, closer to making 10, but it's not all of them. Otherwise, he'd be holding 10 of them instead of one to add to his collection. And Knight and Shining Armors, those are typical characters in fantasy films for Disney. Last but not least, we're going to talk about projection in the entertainment industry. I'm a firm believer that the brains of the operation, aka writers, directors, producers, authors, all project in some way. There's truth in those jokes. There's truth in that dark humor. Dan Schneider used to work for Nickelodeon. He's responsible for the creation of many amazing shows like Zoe 101, Drake and Josh, iCarly, all that, and the list goes on. It was rumored that he had a foot fetish or a really weird kink, and you could see that in the shows. Like, he'd do behind the scenes or post it on the Nickelodeon websites with the actors showing their feet. Like, these were minors. And he used those and disguised it as a joke. This is just entertainment. It's not a reflection or a projection of how they feel. But it is. Like, people tell themselves that way. I also wanted to talk about Monsters, Inc. That's also a projection. Because if you think about Monsters, Inc. as a whole, it's kind of messed up. Like, why are we scaring kids for money? Why are we scaring kids? Why would we kidnap 1,000 children so we wouldn't let a company die? It's like, whoever wrote that, although I love Monsters, Inc., don't get me wrong, whoever wrote that, whoever was in charge of that, the mastermind, who knows if, they didn't hurt kids? What if they're indirectly telling on themselves? What if they're revealing what they do through jokes, through entertainment, just like Dan Schneider? There's a lot of creeps in the industry, and it's revealed through what they produce and what they direct. So keep an eye on that. I also wanted to mention, lastly, how when you deprogram yourself or go through a spiritual awakening, no pun intended, deprogram by what you watch, what programs you watch. I discovered as I healed, the less I wanted to watch horror movies. I couldn't watch gory things. It wasn't like I cringed when I was about to watch one or about to see one. It's like there's a veil. It's like, do not watch that. You gravitate naturally to things when you're in a better state of mind. Same thing with art. Like, my art style has changed throughout the years. I used to make art with Sharpies and pens, which is like black. Still beautiful messages, just different colors. And then I noticed a change in how I deliver messages, all because I deprogrammed. I watch things that are educational. I watch things that make me feel good. Horror movies induce anxiety. Horror movies are kind of messed up. So that too. It's like, when you deprogram, you literally change the program, change the channel, change what you invest yourself into. So I really hope this conversation starter, my thoughts, inspire you to see the projections yourself in film. Like, take a person in the industry and look at their works and find the projections. What have you deprogrammed? Like, what are you drawn to that's better than what you were before? Okay, guys, that's the end of Amanda's advice. Please like, subscribe, support the channel in any way you can. I would really, really appreciate it. There's more content to come, more things in store, keeping some of it hush hush for now because I'm not ready to introduce it yet, but I'm so excited for what's coming for this channel. Okay, guys, bye.